Hey guys, we're going to talk about Jacy Jayne winning the NXT Women's Championship. We're going to talk about the possibilities of why she won the title and what's going to happen next for Jacy Jayne as she starts her NXT Women's Championship run. Check out more at the Pink Square Circle here. Hey guys, we're here at the Pink Square Circle. We're going to talk about why did Jacy Jayne really win the NXT Women's Championship. You guys get the likes as we come to Pink Square Circle. We're going to talk about the recent victory of Jacy Jayne of winning the NXT Women's Championship. Now, this past episode of NXT, it was Jacy Jayne challenging then champion Stephanie Walker for the NXT Women's Championship in the main event of NXT that happened on this past Tuesday. And then the most shocking win in NXT history, and probably one of the most shocking wins in WWE history altogether, we saw Jacy Jayne crowned NXT Women's Championship, NXT champion, winning the championship, also by with fatal influence cheating on her behalf, causing Jacy Jayne to hit her forearm on Stephanie Walker, and she won the championship. We see fatal influence, even though Jacy Jayne and Fallon Henley don't agree on everything right now. Still happy that she won the championship and she's brand new champion. And like I said, this is a good win for the stable as well. We know that Jacy Jayne's been shining, with fatal influence. She's in a good stable. Now, Fallon Henley was the last crown champion for that stable, but now Jacy Jayne has won the championship. Jacy Jayne has been in NXT for about 5 years now. Very good minute. It's been a long time coming. The last championship she held was the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship, which are no longer active in WWE. Those titles have since been no longer exist. They merged with the Women's Tag Team Championships. But this is a good win for Jacy Jayne. Congratulations to her. Very good, shocking. But we have to pay attention to the whole thing when it comes to the NXT Women's Championship. Stephanie Walker, the former champion, she is now headed to Monday Night Raw. It is official. She will be on that brand. And the champion before Stephanie Walker was Julia, who's also now part of the main roster, being on Friday Night SmackDown on Fridays. So there's a lot more room now for the women NXT to grow, to become NXT Women's Champion and North American Champion. We've seen recently in the past couple weeks that two women, Stephanie and Julia, go on to the main roster. But Jacy Jayne, she talked more about her upcoming in NXT here.
Some singles gold finally.
Ooh, I like it. Think big. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You are, for our listeners, you're originally from Florida, correct?
I'm not.
Oh no. Oh,
No.
okay. Well, then Wikipedia has screwed me up. Where are you from exactly,
Yeah.
Jacy?
Wikipedia is always wrong. I'm actually from New Jersey. I moved down to Florida when I was 19.
Did you come down to Florida to become a professional wrestler?
I did. There weren't really any schools in New Jersey, or at least like schools that I knew of at the time.
Mhm.
So I was like, if I'm going to pursue this dream, I need to go right in the midst of all of it, which was Florida. So I moved down to the Tampa Bay area and I started training, and I've been here ever since. But yeah, I'm actually from New Jersey, born and raised.
All right. Well, now I know this. I've done great research behind the scenes. I know this now. We're here at Jacy Jayne. Don't forget, NXT Wrestling is going to be live in Fort Pierce. You want to go, etix.com for all the information. I'll link it as well. All right. I will ask you this then. You come to Florida, like you said, you go to that area. Was there a school you went to? Did you make phone calls? What happened exactly?
I did. I actually trained at a few different schools, but I really weird. But there was an ad on my Facebook. How you're talking about things, and all of a sudden it pops up on your Facebook, and you're like, how did it know that I was talking about that? So this ad for a wrestling school, like 20 minutes down the street from where I was living, popped up, and I was like, I got to go see this school. So I went, signed up, started training. It was the WWN school. They still run. actually in Florida. But then
Yeah.
I ended up like switching around, I went to a bunch of different places before I got to WWE. But yeah, I came down here young and had no idea what I was doing and just went full force.
When did you get the call then from the WWE? What year was that?
It was during the pandemic.
Mhm.
So 2020, I think July 2020, I got the call. And then I ended up starting in February of 2021.
What was it like getting that call? Like, cause this is a big moment. I know, like you said, you moved down at 19. You probably are struggling, grinding. What was it like getting that call then?
Life changing. I bawled my eyes out. I didn't know, like, so they asked me to set up a Zoom meeting, and I had no idea what was really going on. I didn't know if they were like going to offer me a tryout or they were going to offer me a deal or if they just wanted to talk to me and get to know me. So I didn't really know what was happening. And then they just offered me a deal on the phone. And I was like, yes, 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 absolutely yes. And then I remember I got off the phone with them and I called my mom, and me and my mom were just bawling our eyes out on the phone. It was crazy.
All right. So you go to Orlando, which is like you said, changes your life. How long were you training behind the scenes in Orlando at NXT at the Performance Center before you actually started, performing at a live show or on TV?
I think it was about 5 months because I debuted in July and I started at the last week of February. So about 5, maybe 6 months. And then I debuted and it was like full steam ahead past that.
Did you have butterflies that first time you debuted with NXT?
Oh, for sure. I thought I was going to pass out. Like standing in Gorilla before you're about to go out for the first time, you don't know the reaction you're going to have.
Mm,
Obviously, I didn't have a big name. I was on the indies for a few years, but I didn't
yeah.
have a huge name. So I felt like nobody's going to know who I am. What if they hate me? What if they don't accept me? What if I mess up? I'll never get an opportunity again. It was terrifying. But once you go through the curtain and that adrenaline hits, you're like in another world.
Now that was Jacy Jayne doing an interview with Mark Moses. This was back a couple years ago. This was shortly after Toxic Attraction broke up, and Jacy Jayne said that she wanted to be, more on her own, and have a single championship like the NXT Women's Championship being one of her goals, and now she has it. But we got to talk about her opponents. Now, Jordynne Grace, I heard she's still reportedly supposed to be going to the main roster. That is not confirmed. But I will say, if Jordynne Grace is going to stay on NXT a little bit longer before she moves to the main roster, I see Jacy Jayne losing the championship to Jordynne. And I'm saying that because Jordynne Grace has fought for the NXT Women's Championship twice already. First against Roxanne Perez, second recently against Stephanie Walker. I could see her win the championship if she's going to stay on NXT. So that's a possibility. Next person I would say is Jada Parker, Miss Parker. Jada Parker did very impressive in her first run with WWE on being on NXT. She's also fought for the NXT Women's Championship already against then champion Roxanne Perez. I could see her, now there's some more room that Stephanie and Julia is gone. We can expect Miss Parker to go ahead and win the NXT Women's Championship at some given point in time. So she could be one to beat Jacy Jayne. Also, another person I could see in a scenario is Lola Vice. Lola Vice actually just got back on TV, and I felt like when Stephanie Walker was on NXT, Lola Vice kind of took a back seat. We didn't see on TV nowhere near as much. We saw her here and there, maybe a segment, but now that Stephanie's gone, we should see more of Lola on television, and I could definitely see Lola, who also fought for NXT Women's Championship previously. She should go ahead and capture that championship because Lola Vice also had an impressive year, similar to Jada Parker. So that could be the scenario there. She could be the one to take the belt off Jacy Jayne at some point in time. Now, Jacy Jayne, like I said, nothing to take away from her. She has put in the work. She started with Toxic Attraction, held the NXT Women's Tag Team belts multiple times. She also has recently started a new stable with Fallon Henley, Jasmine Nix with Fatal Influence. She also been in a lot of storylines. She was with the Chase U with Thea Hale. She's been involved in a lot of stuff. She's not an NXT Women's Champion, but we have to be honest, and nothing personal against Jacy Jayne, nothing against her. Jacy Jayne, I see, will be a transitional champion. she will hold on to the championship for, I would say, maybe roughly anywhere from a month to 3 months max. And I see her losing to the championship to one of the women that I mentioned earlier, or it could be a surprise. Maybe Fallon Henley turns on, maybe she turns on Jacy Jayne. Maybe she gets the belt from her. Whatever the case may be, just scenario thrown out there. I do not see her being a long reigning champion. Now, I'm not saying she's about to go to main. I don't know what's the aspiration of her going to the main roster. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I will say she's been in NXT long enough. She should go to the main roster at some point, but I don't see her holding chance for a long time. It's still a lot of women in NXT that still need opportunity, because we seen Julie and Stephanie, they're not holding to the NXT Women's Championship that long, and we know that because they wanted to fast track them to go to the main roster. And Jacy Jayne, after whenever she do lose the NXT Women's Championship, she should eventually go on to the main roster. Hopefully they do that with her. Hope she's not on a long list of people that's been released, because WWE, they have been going hard with these releases lately, not just on Evolve, NXT, main roster, everywhere. So we got to see what the next goal for Jacy Jayne is, but congratulations to her. And that's all I have for why did Jacy Jayne really win the NXT Women's Championship. How long would Jacy Jayne be NXT Women's Champion? You guys let me know what did you think of Jacy Jayne winning this championship. How long was she holding to the championship, and who would she lose it to? Check out the content, the next video below for Pink Square Circle. Until then, guys, I will see you guys later.